All right, cut on the mic. Welcome back to the 1440 show. I'm your host, Blank. Got a couple of things I want to touch on today, a couple of things I want to talk about. Actually, I have one thing that I really want to talk about, but we'll get into that here in just a second. It is like, the weather here is crazy right now. It is pouring. And when it rains, I can't go to work because a lot of the work that I'm doing right now has to deal with painting. And for those of you who don't know, water and paint don't really go together unless you're using water paint, and you don't use water paint to paint a house. So not really able to work at the moment. I guess it's like it's kind of nice in the sense that I get to like hang out, but as far as making money, it kind of sucks. But you know how that goes. So yesterday I made a podcast that really wasn't a podcast. It was one of those like, here's the thing, okay? When you're building a business or when you're attempting to build a business and you're doing something that you've never done before, it is incredibly stressful, right? And so, I think that's really what I was trying to touch on yesterday. I had no idea. And even right now, I have no idea which direction I'm supposed to go. I know there are some options in front of me as far as what I can do to increase the viewership of this podcast, but most of the options that I have don't line up with my morals, and it's very difficult for me to do some of the things that I think would boost the viewership of this podcast. So I'm trying to weigh some options that don't affect me in that way, but still allow room for this podcast to grow, if you know what I mean. But let me try and formulate my thoughts, what's going on through my head right now. So yesterday, I was down in the dumps. And it really didn't have anything to do with the YouTube part of 1440. It has everything to do with the other aspects of 1440 that I want to deal with. Because the other aspects are going to have to, I'm going to have to put money into that, right? And so, I've talked about Gary Vaynerchuk a lot, and he's hot right now. He's super hot right now. If you listen to him, you'll know that he talks about eating shit for like 5 to 10 years. That's just going in, not getting anything out of what you're doing for 5 to 10 years, just keeping your head down and grinding, right? And so 1440, and let me just give you guys a little more background on 1440. Like 1440, I didn't just come up with over the past like month or two. Like 1440 has been on my mind for probably 6 to 8 months. It's something that I've been formulating. I've been talking with other friends about, other possible business partners in the future. Like 1440 has been on my mind for a very, very long time. And so I don't want people to feel like I'm coming in and like I tried this out for like a week or two and I'm just like giving up, because that's definitely not the case. First off, I'm not giving up. Let's just get that out there. Like 1440, like I'm gonna rock the hell out of 1440. I just hit one of those bumps in the road where I was like, shit, what do I do? Where the hell do I go? Right? And I think that's what yesterday was. And I don't know if people talk about this enough. Like, if you're building a business, if you're building anything, right? You're building a model car or a model airplane, or you're trying to, I don't know, build your grades up. Like, there are things that you have to go through in order to do that, right? Like, I have to study, maybe I'm used to studying 2 hours. Now I got to study 5-6 hours in order to boost my grade up from a C to an A, right? Like, there's always something that you have to do in order to build something. There are sacrifices that have to be made, and whatnot, right? So for me, yesterday, like, I woke up and I just laid in bed. I literally laid in bed for like 7 hours, and I was like, what the hell do I do? Where do I go? I don't have money to put into this. I don't have money to pour into anything. The only thing that I can do is continue to post on YouTube. That is the only thing that I can do. It's the only thing that I can do. It's the only thing that I can do that will generate some type of audience for 1440. Right? Like, and I don't think there's anything else that I can do as of right now, because I don't have the monetary means in order to do anything else, which is fine. All right. It just, yesterday I hit this massive wall of like, oh crap. I'm lost. And I want to touch on that a little bit. Like, if you are trying to do something, if you're trying to build a YouTube channel, if you're trying to build a Twitch channel, or a following on your social medias, or you're trying to build a business, or you're trying to move up the corporate ladder, whatever the hell it is that you're trying to do, you have to realize that, like, you're going to be lost. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think that because of social media, because of TV, because of YouTube, we assume that whenever we start this journey of climbing the ranks in whatever field or career that it is, that it's just going to happen, that there aren't going to be hiccups, that there aren't going to be times where we're just confused as shit. Right? You know? And this is honest. I can honestly say for 1440, this has been the first time where I was genuinely lost as all hell and had no motivation to do anything. And I think that's something that's really, really important. And I was watching this guy, I can't remember his name, I'm going to have to look it up here in just a second, but I was watching a guy, he's the CEO of a supplement company. And he posts on Instagram often, and I was listening to him, and he was talking about, like, for anybody that builds a freaking multi-million-dollar company, like, the reason they're able to do that, his name is Andy Frisella, okay? Andy Frisella, okay? He's the CEO of a supplement company. I can't remember the name of it, but he has a podcast. You should check it out. It's really good. He was talking about how, like, the difference between you and someone that's building a multi-million-dollar company, right, is, like, when you decide, like, when you wake up and you're like, shit, I don't want to do anything, the person that's building the multi-million-dollar company has the discipline to be like, fuck it, dude, I gotta do this no matter what. Like, I'm gonna get my ass up and do it. You know what I mean? And it resonated with me yesterday. And I saw it in the evening, and I realized, like, what I posted yesterday was not okay. It does not line up with what it is that I feel. It doesn't line up with what it is I tell myself. It doesn't line up with my goals, and it doesn't line up with what I've been telling you guys. Like, I can't post dog shit because I feel like shit, right? Like, that's part of building a business. Like, you gotta eat shit for, you know, day in, day out, and eventually something good will come from that. And you'll get your one day of, like, good, and it's back to eating shit again. And yesterday was one of those days where I fell into the trap of, like, oh, boo-hoo, me, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Wah. I'm lost, boo-hoo. Right? And I'm not, like, 1440 is not going to go anywhere if I continually, like, if I have that after a week of actually, it's like coming up on 2 weeks, after 2 weeks of making the podcast. Right? Like, I gotta man up. And if you're a woman up. Like, you gotta step up to the plate, and you gotta go out there swinging. Right? And so, for those of you that were let down from from yesterday's podcast, I just want to, personally, I want to apologize, because you're right. That was dog shit. So, I also want to put a shout out to my man, Eric. He sent me a text last night. He was like, I'm listening to your podcast, man, and it's like you're falling back into your old mental habits and your old view of YouTube and content. And this leads into the topic that I want to talk about. So first off, I want to say thank you to you. I appreciate you stepping in and being a great friend. And I think this ties into, like, this is the reason that you need to have great friends that have great attitudes and that have a mindset of success. A mindset of, like, I don't care how bad it gets, I'm going to do whatever it takes to reach that next level. Like, it doesn't matter to me if this happens or that happens, or I'm lost here for weeks. Like, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when I lay down in the grave, I will have built something that everybody can be proud of and can appreciate. I have built something that has impacted somebody's life in a way that I couldn't have had I not built this business, right? So it's important to surround yourself. Your inner circle, guys, fix that. Work on it, okay? Work on it. But he texted me, and like I said, he was just like, dude, your mindset's not right. And even though we have different views on how you should go about building a presence on YouTube and on social media, I can honestly say the man mentally is as strong as they come. Mentally can deal with a hell of a lot of shit, right? And he pretty much was like, bro, you need to like get your stuff together. Pretty much is what he said, like, get your stuff together. Like, and it's one of those things that for me, it felt like, listen, we cannot be friends if this is the type of mindset you're going to have. Like the way that you view stuff, you know, the lack of mental fortitude that you have is going to cause me to to fall down to your level. I can't have that. So like, listen, you either pick your mental side up or we can't be friends. And that leads into the topic that I want to talk about today is self-evaluation. Just think about that for a second. Self-evaluation. It's tough. It's not fun to think about. It's not fun to think about. You see, the competition isn't between you and the person next door, or the person down the street, or the person across town. No. That's definitely not the competition. The competition is the person that's in the mirror, right? You wake up every morning, you brush your teeth, you tell yourself this, but you look in the mirror and you see something completely different, right? You think you're fit, you look in the mirror and you got boobs. If you're a woman, you naturally have that. But if you're a man, you shouldn't, right? You wake up in the morning and you tell yourself that you're fit for a woman and you realize that you have love handles that you don't want, right? You wake up and you look at your bank account, you feel like you're wealthy. You look at your bank account, you have $50 in there, and you know that you have a $75 electric bill that's coming, you know, later that day. You don't have enough money to pay for that. You see, it's always been about besting yourself. That's why I love the Mamba mentality. See, people think that the crazy thing is people think that Kobe was just a basketball player. No, that guy is a businessman. He taught himself how to play piano. He's teaching himself how to invest. Right? The Mamba mentality isn't I go out and I destroy everybody on the court. No. It's I don't give a fuck about anybody else. That's what it is. But I'm working to beat myself. I'm working to best myself each and every day. Right? And so the hardest thing for anybody, including myself, I have a very difficult time doing this, is stepping back, looking at myself and criticizing myself. Of course you need to celebrate your strengths, but look at your weaknesses. Where do you fall off? And in your strength, how do you make your strengths better? Right? Like, so what? I can sit here and talk in front of a mic. I think I'm pretty good at it. I think I have a natural tendency to be able to talk in front of a mic. But I'm not reaching enough people. So clearly I'm missing something here. Clearly my message isn't strong enough. Clearly the production value of my podcast isn't strong enough. Clearly I don't know enough about podcasting and about the topics that I'm talking about for it to impact someone else's life. You see? How can I make my voice sound better? How can I talk clear? How can I stay on topic longer? Right? How can I engage someone longer? See, I think about my strengths, but I'm also trying to figure out how to work on my strengths. Self-evaluation. Self-evaluation. If you're going to climb to the top, you're going to have to be able to step to the side, sit back, and be like, look at yourself and be like, listen, okay, where am I? Where do I want to be? I think it's absolutely critical that you find what it is that you're talented at and what you're passionate about and what you're good at, right? And then within the scope of that, you break it down into your strengths and weaknesses. I'm not saying, like, listen, if you're not on average, okay, about 6 foot tall, I'd say closer to about 6'3", 6'4", you're probably not playing in the NBA, right? I don't care if that's your passion, okay? I don't care if you're the greatest shooter alive or the greatest ball handler alive. Chances are at the point where, you know, with the way that the game is headed, the way that it's played right now, chances are you're probably not going to play. That has nothing to do with you. It's just genetically you were not gifted enough. Okay? And so you find what you are talented at, find what your gift is, and within that gift, you break it down. Within that gift, you break it down. Right? If it's cooking, it's like, okay, what am I good at cooking? I can cook the hell out of some eggs, right? I can cook the shit out of some eggs. What am I not? I can't bake though. I can't, I can't bake a cake. Baking cake is not my thing. So what is it that you do? You look at your strengths. You're like, okay, so I can cook eggs. What can I add to my egg game? What type of egg can I cook, right? At that point. And while you're learning that, you're looking over at the baking side, and you start reading on baking. You're like, listen, I want to be able to bake a cake. The baddest cake this world has ever seen. And you work on that. But it's all in the scope of cooking. You're not trying to be a NASCAR driver all of a sudden, right? You're not jumping from one thing to another. And that was a problem that I had in the past. It was absolutely a huge problem that I had. Ask any of my friends. I would play one game, get bored with it, play another. I'd play this game, get bored with that, play with another. Now, obviously games are a little bit different, but it still can be applied. I would play one game for a long period of time, stop doing YouTube for a long period of time. And that doesn't lead to anything that's beneficial for me or for my channel. It just causes my channel to die. And so if you can't step back and look at who you are, if you are not okay with self-criticizing, you're definitely not going to be okay when other people criticize you. And you're only going to set yourself up. Maybe you do find some success. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a great product and you find success with it. All right. And let's say you make $1 million with that. Congratulations. You made $1 million, but you missed out on the opportunity to make 100 million or 500 million. Do you see my point? And it all comes back to the fact that you were too damn prideful to step back and listen to other people and listen to yourself. Like, I can sit here and be like, I'm fit, but deep down inside, I know I'm not. Deep down inside, I know I probably need to lose about 70 pounds. 70 pounds! You know what I mean? So, self-evaluation, guys, is key for you in building anything. It's absolutely necessary. You need it. You have to do it. And I don't care if that's 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes at night. Like, it doesn't matter. But there needs to be a period of time, either, every day or once a week, okay? If you go once a month, I feel like you're pushing it a little far. But there needs to be a period of time, once a week, at least once a week, where you step to the side, you look at what you have written down from the week before about yourself. Or if this is your first time, you write it down. Okay, this is what I see with myself. This is what I envision. All right, these are my goals. All right, and here are my strengths. Here are my weaknesses. How can I work upon these? The next week you come back, you look at those, and you're like, okay, what did I get better at? Right? Like, how many cold calls did I make? How many connections did I make online? If you're not making 2 or 3 connections a day, there's probably a problem there. There's definitely a problem there. Okay? So learn, and more than learn, have the balls to sit down and criticize yourself. Maybe not criticize, that might be, to work on yourself is a better word, better term. Be willing to work on yourself. Be willing to discipline yourself to do the things that you don't want to do when times are rough. Like, if I'm amped up, I can go out there and talk to anybody, right? Like, if you're amped up, you can go talk to anybody. You don't care. If you are fired up about something, you will talk to anybody about anything for however long. You don't care. Whether they say yes, no, maybe, you don't care, because you're amped up. You're like, dude, whatever, man. I'm amped. I know what this product can do. I know what this is gonna, I know what this is about. I know I see the future. I see the future, and this is what's gonna happen. Like, I see that I'm amped. Let's go! Right? Like you see that, and then like 3 days later, you're like, boo-hoo. I don't want to get up. It's early. Wah. Right? And you start falling off, and that happens more and more often. That's what's happening with me. And so I got to get my ass back up early in the morning. I got to wake up and smell the coffee. You know what I mean? Self-evaluation, guys. It's going to be key in your success in the future. That's all I have to say. Cut the fucking mic.